City Council, good evening. First, I'd like to introduce Alan Napoli, our Community Development Administrator, to introduce our first speaker from ATA.
Mayor, City Council, before we introduce our speaker from the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, on your agenda tonight is the contract for the 22-23 season. One of the things you don't see on the contract this year, which typically we've tried to do over the years, and it wasn't on the last year either because we had broken down, is we don't have a bench in there this year. Part of what we're looking at is we're looking at the ridership along North Oak and M1, the two main thoroughfares. We're looking at trying to maybe some bus stops where we can combine them and where the best areas. We've got a couple areas that have some good ridership that don't have benches that may need it. We also have a couple areas where we have like 3 bus stops within a 2-block area, primarily up there at 76 and Oak where the new apartment complex is going in. So we're working with ATA on some stuff right now with the ridership, looking at comparisons and maybe some merging of some of the stops. With that, then we'll look at maybe where a good place to put a bench in this year. So instead of putting on a contract now and paying for something we're not going to have maybe for the next 4 or 6 months, we thought we'd wait, and then once we get to that point, we can do it as addendum to the contract later on. So otherwise, without that, AJ Ferris from KCATA is going to give you an update.
Thank you. Just a little house cleaning at first. I am the new planning manager at the ATA, and so this is probably the first of many, hopefully many times I'll be able to talk to all of you here. So I'm excited to be here. I think I've seen some of your faces before and met some of you. But do we have the slides that were sent? Is there a clicker?
Right up there. That's it, right here.
Ah, right here.
There it is, yep. Down the side, there you go.
Just up.
Okay.
You know, in the time of the pandemic, all of this is just
Get down.
It's just par for the course. All right, so we'll skip past this title page. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about our Flex modernization that should be very exciting to all of you and what we've seen, a quick ridership update, and then a final system and data reporting update that I also think you will find pretty exciting for your ability to access some of our data on your own, even though I will still always be available. So the previous flexible service on the 299 that ran in your area, and just to make sure that we're all clear, do you all understand what I'm talking about when I say flexible service instead of fixed route service? Okay. If you want me to stop and go over that, I'd be absolutely happy to. But in the interest of time, we will move on. The previous service went from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and covered that service area that you see up there. This gave access to the Antioch Crossing area, along North Oak and Inglewood, and previously only had the ability to schedule 24 hours in advance through the use of the telephone calling into our call center. Starting in May of this year, we introduced a new Ride KC Flex app, which was introduced in February. The zone was significantly expanded in May of 22, giving access to far more people and far more destinations. We expanded the service hours to be from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and we've added giant employee and healthcare destinations and education options such as the North Kansas City Hospital and the Metropolitan Community College Maple Woods facility. Advanced scheduling can still be done by phone if you want to do it, but there are now other options for people that have access to smartphones and smart devices. And if at any point in time you want to stop and ask questions, feel free to tell me to stop. Flex destinations that are now served by that 299 route are still Antioch Crossing, CVS, as well as other pharmaceutical places. Hy-Vee, Walmart, the Walmart Supercenter up on 72nd is now accessed and included in the Flex zone. Aldi, Dollar Tree, and as I said earlier, the Maple Woods campus and the North Kansas City Hospital. We will have more ridership data based on total ridership later in the presentation, but basically, as you can see, the average daily ridership expanded greatly and is expected to continue to expand quickly. So it went from 16 riders a day to 36 in 1 month, and as we continue to push it on our social media accounts, get more media outreach on it, and people keep hearing about it, we will expect to see that to continue to expand. So it's a very exciting time for specifically that, and as we'll see on this next slide, the fixed route as well. So just a quick update, the 238 has now been combined with the 233. Coverage, especially in Gladstone, has not seen any decrease as far as the fixed route service. It's just been combined with the 238. The 238 runs Monday through Saturday and operates every 60 minutes. You can see the ridership in 2019 was about 95,000 trips a year, and it obviously it took a dip due to COVID, and then as of May 2022, we're at 36,000, which is about a 10% increase in what it was in 2021. So ridership is recovering quickly on the 238. Same thing can basically be said for North Oak. The big bump was from 2020 to 2021. That's when we started increasing the service to be every 30 minutes, and that's what it currently is right now. The 201 North Oak runs Monday through Sunday every 30 minutes. Then as you go down to the average weekday ridership, you can see that those trends still match, and we continue to expect pretty fast ridership increases, specifically in Gladstone as well as the surrounding regions. All right, this flex ridership is really kind of what I wanted to show you guys because I think it's the most exciting. The total monthly ridership from March to April went from 297 to 346, so a good increase. But when we committed the funding and the attention to expand, we saw that go from 346 to 200 or to 926, which is the biggest percentage increase of a route that I've ever seen at the ATA. Now, it is a smaller number than some of our other routes, and so it's subject to a higher percentage increase, but it's still a very, very exciting thing to see. And so it's good to show that when you put transit dollars into a system, you see ridership growth, and so we're seeing that. So finally, this new other exciting piece is our new reporting system that's currently in development. We're basically doing a pilot with the city of Kansas City, Missouri to switch over our reporting needs to them and use this dashboard that I'm about to show you. This dashboard was created through the Power BI Microsoft tool. What you're essentially seeing here is a dashboard that shows KPIs, or key performance indicators, as well as several of the different contractual KPIs, or key performance indicators, that we have with the city of Kansas City, Missouri. This, imagine this being a link on our website that you would click and you would get taken to this dashboard. If you wanted a specific link for the city of Gladstone to show this, we would be able to regionally show the routes and how our system performed regionally within the city limits of Gladstone. If you are interested in specific key performance indicators, we could change your dashboard to show those instead of some things that are on here. You can also see kind of in the middle left, you have ridership, service, efficiency, on-time performance. Those will all be tabs that you could click on and take you. This is really small, but essentially what you're seeing is each one of those. So on the left, you see the ridership. You would get access to that whole panel with graphs showing ridership trends, the ability to filter by weekday, Saturday, Sunday, or all. On the right, you have a list of routes for the city of Gladstone. You know, it would only show the routes that travel through your municipality. You would be able to click and filter by those, and then you would also see a map. And the map would show that route, and you'd be able to click the route and also filter data through that way. And so you can see the ridership fixed route service. And then the next slide just shows what cost per service, so you would be able to see cost per passenger, as well as the on-time performance and trip completion. So that's what we're doing. We're hoping to have it ready for Kansas City, Missouri in July. And so we would be excited then to move forward with all of our other municipalities that we're in contracts with, because once the system's set up, it will be pretty easy to tailor to how people want it specifically. And so we're pretty excited about that. We can also have it be accessible to the public as well to increase accessibility and transparency within our system. So that is everything that I have for you. I'm open to questions, and thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Any comments, questions?
Regarding, ridership and how it is, increased over the last few months, do you think that's a direct correlation with gas prices, or do you really think that that more people are just wanting to ride the bus?
All gas prices, we would be fools if we didn't think that the price at the pump didn't drive people to our service. That's also compounded with people being more comfortable getting back out now that they're a little bit more comfortable with where we are with COVID-19. It's also due to the fact that you have invested in a transportation system and widely increased the hours of service. All of those things together are causing that number.
Questions? Yeah.
Wonderful.
We're good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much.
Mayor, our second speaker is Deb Herman, Executive Director of Northland Neighborhoods Incorporated. Ms. Herman has been a longtime supporter through Northland Neighborhoods and through herself personally of our community, and I look forward to hear what she has to say as an annual update this time.
Good evening. I have got with me, we're going to do the housing piece first. NNI provides a couple of services, or maybe many services for Gladstone, one of which is some home repair, and second of which is neighborhood services, helping develop and support neighborhood groups. Our home repair program, when I first came to NNI in 2011, NNI had one source of funding for major home repair, and that was Kansas City CDBG funding. And Kansas City's a little funny about that. They want their money spent in Kansas City. Don't blame them, really. But since then, we have intentionally applied for funding that can be used throughout the Northland, through Missouri Housing Trust Fund, through Federal Home Loan Bank, some smaller grants. We can now provide service to really any municipality in the Northland. Because of Gladstone's close proximity to our offices, we see a lot of Gladstone neighbors and do quite a few projects. I was just going to outline, and we'll see if I can figure this out. A few of the major projects, well, nope, that was the wrong direction. There you go. This first project, she's doing a great job maintaining the home. This was a single mom with 2 or 3 young kids. Her son has a chronic lung disease, and her problem was drainage all the way around the house. You can see damage in her basement, also some wiring issues. The large pad out in front of the home, I didn't stay on that long enough, had actually pulled away and was sloped toward the house. So it was literally just dumping water in the basement, causing her son and the whole family some health issues. And I went in and fixed some of the problems in the basement, patched those to the best of our ability, although we always have to warn our clients that once you've had a crack in your basement wall, we can do the best. The best thing we can do is get the water away from your home, but we can never guarantee them that water won't seep through again. Did some electrical work. This project, this woman's income is $22,000 a year. The project was $15,000, so she some considerable improvements. As you can see, we poured a new pad in the front that goes all the way to the house and slopes away. Solving a lot of that, we replaced some of the inadequate wiring and absence of covers on plugs. As you can see, there's the new patio in the front, so she's in much better shape. This project, and the house doesn't look too bad from the street, this neighbor is actually now 101 years old. 101. He retired from the railroad in 1975, but is as sharp as he can be. It's not real evident, and sometimes in our home repairs, in pictures it doesn't show up as much, and I noticed as I was going through this, one of our major projects was to paint the home, which isn't listed under the improvements. That's my fault. But as you can see, the paint is peeling. Up around the eaves, it's in bad shape. Around the windows, some wood rot there that we fixed. The chimney, there were problems around the top of the chimney, around where it connects. We painted the entire home. As you can see, it looks like, looks like a different house now. That project, this man's income is $24,000 a year. The improvement was $17,300. We ran out of money at the very end to do everything he liked for us to do, and he came up with $1,500. So of that $1,700, $300, $1,500 of it is his match. As you can see, it looks like an entirely different house. This home, this lady, get to my notes here, is 90 years old. She also had lots of drainage issues. Windows, basement windows are cracked. We put in 4 piers, patched the walls the best that we could, replaced the basement windows. Whoops, went too fast here. Her income is $30,100. The improvement was $10,600, and that was to replace or to repair the foundation, put in the piers, and also replace the windows and some other minor things that we did around her house. In addition to that, we did over $8,000 in handyman repairs in Gladstone. Those are projects literally usually $2,000 or less, and these are the most common projects that we take on, from drain cleaning, appliance repair, accessibility, we do a lot of, gutter cleaning, water heaters. We're finding ourselves being able to help less people. We have seen a huge, we still spent over $1 million this year in home repair. But the cost of products, the cost of goods has just ballooned. So as a result, we're not able to help quite as many people. I think that ends my home repair presentation. I'd be glad to answer any questions about that, about what we do or how we do what we do. If you know someone that needs help, please have them call us. Have them call us immediately. So many times, in fact, we went through this a couple of weeks ago again. People will wait and wait and wait to the very last. Now, in the summertime, air conditioning goes out, and in Kansas City, air conditioning is a health issue, especially if you're elderly or have any health problems. Well, we have acquired a couple of window air conditioners and a couple of portable air conditioners, so we can take them out. Most of our FHLB, MHTF, Missouri Housing is a pretty lengthy application process. There's no way we can do it the same day or even the next day. But we can take them a air conditioner, portable air conditioner. Not as good. Usually we can only keep one room cool, but they can stay healthy until we can get out there. We still run into the winter time when that furnace goes out. We're not taking space heaters. I mean, they're just too dangerous. So people would call right away, but so often we'll have them say, well, last time I had someone out, they told me I needed to be thinking about replacing it. Yeah, I mean, so please have them call right away. Sometimes they just wait too long. Any questions about home repair or anything? Comments? Yes.
I've got a question for you. So, regarding air conditioners, do you guys work with Bishop Sullivan Center on the Elder Cool program?
On their what program?
Elder Cool
No.
program? That's basically people donate money, so they purchase air conditioning units for low-income people. They go and they install them in their homes. It's something you might want to look into.
Yes, I would look into that. Do they do the window air conditioners? Yeah, I think a couple of them, now that I think about it, a couple of them that we have now, they may have donated to us. And just at all of our projects, we do none of it ourselves. It is licensed professional contractors. We go through a bid process is who we send out to do this. Generally, other than temporary use, we don't do window units or whatever, except for the temporary use. But no, we reach out, we work with Rebuilding Together, we work with CAC, who does some work with us as far as on weatherization and on HVAC. but
Yeah,
we,
I don't know if they're just, based in southern Kansas City or not, but, their offices are downtown. And I would assume that they would, listen or help anybody
yeah,
that needs it.
I'm real familiar with them from when I worked citywide, but I'll be glad to look into it. Katrina is here. This is Katrina from our offices who works in the neighborhood support area.
All right. Thank you. Hello, my name's Katrina. Hi, and I am the Special Projects Coordinator for Northland Neighborhoods in the Neighborhood Department. So one of the other major facets of what we do at Northland Neighborhoods is provide support to neighborhood groups, neighborhood organizations, and homeowners associations. So this is kind of based on the theory that by building stronger neighborhoods, we build stronger communities, and that improves quality of life. Some of the benefits you can see through having strong neighborhood groups is people are looking out for each other, creating a safer environment. People are more likely to support one another, work together on common quality of life elements like upkeep of the neighborhood, general upkeep. A lot of the neighborhoods that we work with will do neighborhood cleanup, dumpster day type things. And then there's the social element of like people doing block parties or regular get-togethers, which just kind of helps encourage people to know their neighbors. So we work a lot with Gladstone's Community Development Department. Every month I meet with Alan Napoli. We kind of check in, see how neighborhoods are doing, see if there's anything Gladstone needs NNI to be doing to support you all. We also have a neighborhood action team, which is once again kind of checking in to see how we, in collaboration with the Community Development Department, can better support your neighborhoods in Gladstone. We've also, during the 2021-2022 fiscal year, we restarted the quarterly president's meeting, which unfortunately then Delta hit. So that is a thing that we're hoping to restart and do on a more regular basis now that things are looking a little better in terms of COVID. So one thing that I do is just provide neighborhood group support, which looks different for each neighborhood. We have conference rooms at NNI that can be used for neighborhood meetings. Pretty regularly, Woodlands and the Trails from Gladstone both use NNI's spaces for their neighborhood meetings. We also have Meadow Lane uses our space about once a year. So that's one thing that we do. It can be really useful because it can be, sometimes there are costs associated with community rooms, and there isn't with NNI. We also do regular check-in efforts. So I pretty regularly make calls to different board members for neighborhood boards and just kind of check in, see what's going on, see if there's anything we can be doing to assist. Up here you can see a flyer that I made on behalf of one of the neighborhoods, which was just something I talked to the president of that neighborhood, and he requested it, and it was in my wheelhouse. So another thing we do is we'll do prints for neighborhood newsletters, which again can be pretty helpful because there's usually a cost associated, but there's not with an NNI membership. This past year, one thing that we did is we put together a neighborhood survey that we sent out to the boards of Gladstone's neighborhoods, and we've collected all that data, and we're going through to kind of make an analysis of it. So you can see from this pie chart, the majority of the neighborhoods that responded indicated that their neighborhoods were active. I do think that's a little misleading, though, because I believe an active neighborhood is more likely to respond. And we only received responses for about 40 of the neighborhoods. And some of the ones who indicated that they were active were more like, well, we're active on social media. So one thing that we're really hoping to do with this data that we obtained through this survey is looking to see how we can help get the neighborhoods who are maybe only kind of active or not active at all, how we can get those restarted. So this line graph or bar chart is answering the question, what is one thing you would like to see for your neighborhood? And the majority of neighborhoods indicated that one thing that they're really needing is to see more involvement. And so so we know that's one thing we need to focus on in this upcoming year, is how do we get these neighborhoods active, and then once they're working together, how do we draw more people in to the neighborhoods? So that's going to be one of our major focuses, I think. We're kind of at a point right now where we are analyzing these results. Alan and I, along with Alan's department, are meeting to discuss what these results are kind of showing us and what we can do in the future. We're also discussing Neighborhood Block Watch has been a frequent conversation. Neighborhoods are pretty mixed about if they want that or not, but it's something we definitely want to offer for the neighborhoods who do. Yeah, so that is the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
Questions? Comments?
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Deb?
Thank you, Deb.
Appreciate it. And that's it for a special session? Then we'll take just a couple of minutes and start our regular meeting at 7:30. Thank you.
Can't open until we're done.
Meeting of the Gladstone City Council. Call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, all the members of the City Council are present and we have a quorum. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Honorable Mayor, the colors are present. Oaths to colors. Present arms. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms.
Thank you. You may be seated. As always, I'd like to thank our friends at the VFW Post 10906, Jim Zimmerman, Stanley Stoner, Dennis Perkins, Gordon Harris, and Charlie Cram. Thank you, as always, for the honor guard. Item number 4 is approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Does anyone have any issues with tonight's agenda? Hearing none, agenda is approved. Item number 5 is approval of the minutes from the June 13th, 2022 closed City Council meeting.
Mayor Garnis.
Councilman Mallon.
I move to approve the minutes from the June 13th, 2022 closed City Council meeting as they were presented.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the June 13th, 2022 closed City Council meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And I'll be abstaining since I missed the last meeting. Minutes are hereby approved. Item 6 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 13th, 2022 regular City Council meeting. Is there a motion?
Go ahead.
Okay. Mayor Garnis, I move to approve the minutes from the June 13th, 2022 regular City Council meeting as they were presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Garnos,
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
there is a need for a minor change on page 4 of the minutes under public hearing under the regular agenda. There's an indicator that the public hearing was closed, and that line just needs to be eliminated since we opened a public hearing and we continued it. We did not close it, so that line just needs to be removed.
Thank you. Is there a second for the amendment?
Second?
Been moved and seconded to amend the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I will abstain. The minutes are amended. Is there any discussion regarding approval of the minutes as amended? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the amended June 13th, 2022 regular City Council meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And again, I will abstain. The amended minutes are hereby approved. We'll move on to item 7, proclamation, everyone's favorite part of the meeting for National Parks and Recreation Month. Director Murphy, if you'd come forward, please. Proclamation recognizing the benefits of parks and recreation and declaring the month of July 2022 as National Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Gladstone. Whereas park and recreation activities enhance the physical health and mental well-being of individuals, workforces, and communities And whereas participation in recreation programs builds self-esteem and provides positive and constructive alternatives to antisocial behavior, and whereas parks and recreation opportunities and open spaces enhance the desirability of communities as locations for business, industry, and residential housing, and whereas parks and recreation stimulates tourism revenues and the economic development of communities, whereas parks and open spaces are vital to the appearance and livability of communities, protect our air and water, and balance our ecosystem. And whereas it is the right of everyone, regardless of age, race, color, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, or ability to participate in parks and recreation programs and activities and enjoy parks and open spaces. Now therefore, I, Bill Garnis, Mayor of the City of Gladstone, Missouri, on behalf of the Gladstone City Council and all Gladstone residents, do hereby proclaim July 2022 as National Parks and Recreation Month in Gladstone, Missouri, and urge all residents of this community to join the citizens of other communities throughout this great state in recognizing that parks and recreation services are essential to the quality of life, not only in the month of July, but all through the year, signed this 27th day of June 2022. Want to say anything?
I guess a busy week ahead of us. July 1st, Linden Square Ribbon Activity, July 4th, the Deer in the Park next weekend after this, so busy time of year for us, but exciting. So thanks for all the support to everyone, and look forward to spending the rest of summer in fun. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll move on to item 8, communications from the audience. Is there any member of the audience who would like to address City Council on a matter that is not on this evening's agenda? Please, if you'd step up to the podium and give us your name and address. Thank you.
Hello, you'll have to forgive me. I haven't been to city council meetings since high school, so I don't usually talk in front of people and stuff too. So I might kind of trip up on my words and stuff. I'm a little nervous. My name is Gabby Glossop. I'm a resident of 209 Northwest 73rd Street. I'm Bob Bateman's wife. I'm here tonight to let you know a little bit of the insight into what a nightmare I've been dealing with for the past 2 years now. My husband's character, ethics, business have all been targeted by another Gladstone citizen for 2 years to the date now. I figured that this man comes and gives presentations and speaks regularly, that I have the right to say something respectfully as well. I want to tell you the flip side of the story. The man's name that has been harassing us is Jim Oldbecken of 76 Terrace. Jim comes to almost every single council meeting. He usually does presentations and stuff, which is great. He's only one of the few people that show up. However, he's been mentioned in meetings for the Gladstone Way, and I really find this ironic, and you're going to understand why whenever I explain. Since 2020 June, Jim is mad at my husband for campaign contributions and letters sent to registered voters. The mayor was voted out at election, and Jim thinks it's all my husband's fault. Everyone else in the community has moved on and accepted the change in roles after the election. Jim is still continuing to harass us. He's protested and pending business at his store, which is my husband's store. I don't own it. In fact, I had to have my husband and I park our vehicles where Jim was protesting and leave town for an entire week just to get him to stop. But that was not the end. That was just the beginning. First, he was walking up and down the street dressed up as a colonial war hero and actor with his flag, hat, boots, speakers, signs. Next came the flood of demands to meet up with Jim. the threats of more coming. Jim's harassing Bob's attorney every day and emailing him every day. Reviews on every single social media outlet that you can think of. I've had to combat those for 2 years now. They have no relevancy to his business at all. I actually have 60 pages of harassments now that I've been documenting for the 2 years. What's bad is that I'm actually terrified to speak tonight because we have a court hearing tomorrow for an ex parte. And if we don't get that, he's going to harass us 500% worse. He thrives off of this. And trust me, I'm not a public person. We own a small business. I own my own small business. I'm an aunt. That's it. I just want to live my life again. I really do. I've been battling and defending him, and I'm tired and I'm so stressed I can't handle anymore. I want the public record to know that the Gladstone Way by Jim Oldbecken is of harassment and distress. Jim is very upset about the amount my husband has filed a lawsuit against the city. I understand. But if you want to know the reason why is because if he sues for over $1 million, the jury will have to go to the actual property and inspect it themselves. I'm almost finished here, and thank you so much for listening. I promise I will be respectful of your time. But before I end, I also wanted to mention some hard things to bring up. I grew up in Gladstone. Most of my family's from here. My husband's a native. We came back, and we love it. I love Gladstone. I love 4th of July. I love Gladfest. We love it all. But Bob filed the lawsuit not because he wants to hurt anyone or that he's after anybody or the city. He did it because he came and he asked for help and nobody took him serious. And so he had to do what he had to do. However, since the filing of Jim Oldbecken's ex parte and the lawsuit on the city, I've experienced several unusual activities at my home and his business. The first thing I noticed is that the police are shining bright lights or their spotlight on our house at various times. When I come out to talk to them and kind of, go like this and shrug my shoulders, they just leave. I called the police station. Nobody knows why. And I just feel that's very strange. I mean, we're like really quiet people. You wouldn't even know we lived there. Secondly, Jim's moved next to the property that we've reported Jim for trespassing on, which is really, really scary because he has a personal vendetta against us, and he's publicly posted a video that he would like to get on film hurting himself on the property. Obviously, nobody can do anything about him moving close, but what if he's recruiting other people to come trespass on his property and such? The next thing was that the fire marshal with the entire fire department, the ambulance with EMT, police officers showed up at Happy Rock Antiques and said it was a routine inspection to the building. In all the years, and it's been about 40 years that Bob has had this business, we've never experienced a visit like this before. We received, not only was this very dramatic and excessive, but it's caused us to incur an excess of several $1,000s for repairs that are frivolous. And where did this come from? Did you guys take the whole charade to every other business in Gladstone? Why us? I don't think so, because I've asked him. I know this doesn't mean much to you, but he has paid $1 million of taxes in 40 years. He's been a great business owner and a contribution to the city, and there's no denying that. I'm not here to demand, threat, nor would I ever do that. But I'm here to show you what's going on, and that Bob Bateman is not trying to destroy our city or the city council. He just wants to be treated fairly and taken seriously. My husband is the most caring, generous person I know. One of the reasons why I love him is because of how secure I feel with his temperament. My niece and nephew would personally tell you that Bob's their hero. We've been together for 7 years, and he's never raised his voice or spoken to me in a threatening way or anything. I wouldn't come here if I wasn't in a lot of pain. I'm a very private person, I think. I'm not a politician or anything. Bob's not a criminal or a politician, just a small-town, long-time business owner and a private citizen of Gladstone. So I'm almost done, I promise. Now I'm left to ask what's next. I've been trying to work out these battles left and right between a man that thinks his mission is to save city council from Bob, when Jim is literally has a trespassing charge in Kansas City and is on probation for trespassing city council. That sounds scary to me and unstable. I have a lot more to stress, but I wanted to keep this brief in nature because I want you to digest what I'm experiencing. Today, just try and put yourself in my shoes. Please, this isn't easy for me. I can't tell you how much stress I'm under currently. In closing, I ask, so is this the Gladstone way that you speak so proudly of? If this is the Gladstone way, I'm sorry, you have to reevaluate how you help your constituents. Please, I'm begging you that I would like for you to discourage the harassing behaviors and intimidation we're experiencing from this man and anyone else that is involved. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Obviously, since we're in litigation, you understand that we can't respond, but we do appreciate your sharing your perspective inside of that with us, so thank you.
I just really needed a couple minutes to let you guys know what I'm going through. I love Gladstone, we both do. He wouldn't have had a business here for 40 years, so I want people to know Bob is a good person. And
Thank you. Appreciate that. Are there any other communications from the audience? If not, we'll move on to item 9, communications from City Council. I'd like to start the communications from City Council by entertaining a motion to appoint Spencer Davis to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. This would be a replacement for an existing vacancy, so the appointment will expire in December 2024.
Mayor Garnis.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I would like to nominate Spencer Davis to fill the position on the Parks and Recs Advisory Board that's currently vacant.
Second?
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the appointment of Spencer Davis to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Is there any discussion? I would mention during the vetting process that I checked, and this is not the Spencer Davis that sang "Gimme Some Lovin'" in 1967. Nonetheless, all those in favor of approving the appointment of Spencer Davis to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Spencer Davis is hereby appointed to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Keeping in mind that we will still have a presentation for Councilman Frisbee later in the evening, are there any other communications from City Council? Councilmember Spallo?
No.
Councilman Frisbee?
No comments this time.
Councilman Malum?
No comments.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore?
No comments.
Wow, okay. I wanted to just briefly thank Mayor Pro Tem Moore for filling in for me over and over in the last couple of weeks at the employee lunch, at our last meeting, and at the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Thank you very much for that. I did attend the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting last week, and we got updates on our many parks projects and the capital improvement plan, which is very exciting. I also had the privilege of welcoming people to Blues Fest with Councilman Frisbee last week. Few things I enjoy more than seeing people sitting on lawn chairs at Oak Grove Park listening to music. We have more of that coming up next week with Independence Day and Theater in the Parks. We'll move on. Item 10, communications from the city manager, Mr. Wingerson.
Just one thing, Mayor, thank you. That is, hope everybody joins us at 7 o'clock at Oak Grove Park on the 4th of July, and City Hall will be closed that day.
7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 11 is the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please explain and read the consent agenda?
A consent agenda allows the City Council to consider and approve routine items of business without discussion. Any member of the City Council, the city staff, or the public may request removal of any item from the consent agenda and request that it be considered under the regular agenda if discussion or debate of the item is desired. Items not removed from the consent agenda will stand approved upon motion by any council member, second and unanimous vote to approve the consent agenda as published or modified. Consent agenda, Resolution R-22-29, a resolution granting a permanent easement to Evergy to operate and maintain buried electrical lines at 6569 North Prospect Avenue, also known as Fire Station Number 2. Resolution R-22-30, a resolution authorizing acceptance of a proposal from Paymentus Corporation, a business located at 13024 Valentine Corporate Place, Suite 400, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28277, for payment processing services and authorizing the city manager to sign a contract for such services. And fiscal report for 11 months ending May 31st, 2022.
Thank you. Does any member of the audience request the removal of any item from the consent agenda for discussion? City Council? Mr. City Manager?
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
Mayor Garnes,
Councilman Mallons?
I move to approve the consent agenda as it was presented.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as listed. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as listed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We'll move on with the regular agenda. Item 12 is the public hearing to establish Chapter 205, short-term stay, and adding Section 7.205.010, hotel, motel, and extended stay regulations to the Gladstone City Code. The public hearing is open. During the public hearing, we'll hear first from city staff, followed by those in favor of the short-term and extended stay regulations, and then by those opposed.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. On May 16th, the Planning Commission discussed and recommended approval for an ordinance adding Chapter 205, short-term stay, and a section called Hotel, Motel, and Extended Stay Regulations to the Gladstone City Code. After much discussion over the past year or so, the Planning Commission voted in favor to recommend these regulations to the City Council. 5 Planning Commissioners voted in favor of these regulations, and 3 Planning Commissioners voted against the regulations. City staff used the discussion over multiple meetings from the Planning Commission to improve this ordinance in preparation for your consideration tonight. There were 2 particular points that were discussed during the May 16th Planning Commission that I would like to touch on a little bit tonight. The first point was defining a hotel or motel by using 60 or more dwelling units. In city staff's conversations with hotel developers and operators, we were advised that most, if not all, reputable hotel brands or flags will only operate a hotel if it has a minimum of 60 rooms. Also, using 60 or more dwelling units can help the city in regulating the conversion by right of some existing buildings in the city to hotels or motels that may not be of the quality the community expects. The second point is not being able to occupy the hotel or motel longer than 30 consecutive days. City staff understood the arguments being made by some of the planning commissioners, but ultimately decided to keep the number of days initially proposed. 30 consecutive days is a widely used and accepted number throughout many cities in the metro and the country. In the future, if a smaller boutique hotel is proposed in Gladstone that is a respectable brand or flag, and the development cannot meet the 60 or more dwelling unit regulations put forward by this ordinance tonight, the City Council can make an informed decision to consider the smaller project separately. Over the past 2 years, city staff has received several inquiries ranging from hotels to residential housing and treatment facilities locating to the city of Gladstone for alcohol, drug addiction, mental illness, behavioral health, transitional housing, and homeless facilities. With the recent addition of the brand new Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott in downtown Gladstone, city staff is proposing safeguards to ensure current and future hotels maintain a certain quality expected by the citizens of Gladstone. It is important that these facilities maintain their approved use, quality, and integrity as these projects age from year 1 to year 15 and beyond. Thank you, and I'm more than happy to try and answer your questions.
Any questions for city staff? Thank you, Mr. Greer. Is there anyone here who would like to address City Council in favor of the short-term and extended stay regulations? If not, is there anyone who would like to address City Council in opposition to the short-term and extended stay regulations? Any further testimony from audience? City staff? Any other questions or discussion from City Council? Hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. We'll move on to item 13, the first reading of Bill number 22-23, an ordinance establishing Chapter 205, short-term stay, and adding Section 7.205.010, hotel, motel, and extended stay regulations to the city code.
Mayor Garnis.
Councilman Spallo.
I move to place bill number 22-23 on its first reading.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to place bill number 22-23 on its first reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing bill number 22-23 on its first reading, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Madam Clerk, please read the bill.
First reading, bill number 22-23, an ordinance establishing Chapter 205, short-term stay, and adding Section 7.205.010, hotel, motel, and extended stay regulations to the Gladstone City Code.
Mayor Garnis.
Councilmember Spallo.
I move to accept the first reading of bill number 22-23, waive the rule, and place the bill on its second and final reading.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to accept the first reading of bill number 22-23, waive the rule, and place the bill on its second and final reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing bill number 22-23 on its second and final reading, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Madam Clerk, please read the bill.
Second reading, bill number 22-23, an ordinance establishing Chapter 205, short-term stay, and adding Section 7.205.010, hotel, motel, and extended stay regulations to the Gladstone City Code.
Councilmember Spallo.
I move to accept the second and final reading of bill number 22-23 and enact it as ordinance number 4.600.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to accept the second and final reading of bill number 22-23 and enact the bill as ordinance number 4.600. Is there any discussion on the bill?
No.
None? No further discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Spallo.
Aye.
Councilman Frisbee.
Aye.
Councilman Malums.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Aye.
Mayor Garnis.
Aye. Bill number 22-23 stands enacted as ordinance number 4.600. We'll move on to item 14, Resolution R-22-31, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the City of Gladstone, Missouri, and Northland Neighborhoods Incorporated to provide consulting services to assist in the ongoing development and revitalization of neighborhoods for the period of July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Mayor Garnis.
Councilman Malums.
I move to approve Resolution R-22-31.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution R-22-31. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting Resolution R-22-31 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution is hereby adopted. Item 15, first reading of Bill number 22-24, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute agreements between the City of Gladstone, Missouri, and the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority to provide public transportation services and property management assistance for the period of July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Mayor Garnis.
Councilman Frisbee.
I move to place bill number 22-24 on its first reading.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to place bill number 22-24 on its first reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing bill number 22-24 on its first reading, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Madam Clerk, please read the bill.
First reading, bill number 22-24, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute agreements between the City of Gladstone, Missouri and the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority to provide public transportation services and property management assistance for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Mayor Garnos.
Councilman Frisbee.
I move to accept the first reading of Bill number 22-24, waive the rule, and place the bill on its second and final reading.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to accept the first reading of Bill number 22-24, waive the rule, and place the bill on its second and final reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing Bill number 22-24 on its second and final reading, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Madam Clerk, please read the bill.
Second reading, Bill number 22-24, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute agreements between the City of Gladstone, Missouri and the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority to provide public transportation services and property management assistance for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2023.
Mayor Garnos.
Councilman Frisbee.
I move to accept the second and final reading of Bill number 22-24 and enact the bill as ordinance number 4.601.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to accept the second and final reading of Bill number 22-24 and enact the bill as ordinance number 4.601. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Spallo.
Aye.
Councilman Frisbee.
Aye.
Councilman Mallon.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Aye.
Mayor Garnis.
Aye. Bill number 22-24 stands enacted as ordinance number 4.601. Item 16, special presentation to Councilman Tom Frisbee. I thought we'd maybe run this like one of the public hearings, so we would hear first from city staff, followed by those in favor of Tom Frisbee leaving city council, and then by those opposed. But our attorney says I can't do that, so instead I'd like to present you with a plaque and the key to the city. If you'd like to come, let's all go down front for the photo op. And then come back.
Go ahead.
The plaque says, presented to Tom Frisbee, in grateful appreciation for his dedication and outstanding contributions to the city of Gladstone, Missouri, Councilman, April 2022 through June 2022, presented this 27th day of June 2022 by the Gladstone City Council, and signed by Regents. Thank you. We have to close with that now. I wanted to start by just saying thank you, and even though you weren't here for a long time, your input was very valuable for everyone on the design of the fire station expansion, on the design of the police headquarters, on the pay package for our police firefighters and paramedics, and ultimately on our hiring of the new police chief. All of those were significant accomplishments. And all of them you contributed greatly, and we've appreciated your input on that. Also, I know this may seem like a backhanded compliment, but I wanted to give you credit for giving me a newfound appreciation for the concept of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Those of us on city council, I think, are always on a quest to try to improve things and make things better, and especially in a well-run city like Gladstone, not everything always needs fixing or improving, so I know it's a weird thing to compliment you on, but you have given me a newfound appreciation for, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and I wanted to thank you for that. Any other comments, since Tom has asked for the final word? Tina?
Just a couple of words, really, but Tom, it's just been a pleasure serving with you. And I agree with the mayor in that I was just jotting down some notes here, and I said, you know, added a different perspective on certain items that always made me think, and I appreciate that. And from the direction that you came on so many of the things that we have to make decisions about. But I think it's really important also to recognize that Tom hasn't just been involved on the city council. And he's been involved throughout our city in the chamber. You know, he's chairman of Blues Fest and runs the best concession stand at Blues Fest that you can. But you know, you've been involved in so many ways for so many years, and you will truly be missed by all of us.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, Tom, it's a bittersweet evening. We know that very soon you're beginning a new chapter in your life. We thank you for your continued commitment to the Northland, beginning as a police officer, a business owner with the Wynwood Skating Rink, working with the Chamber of Commerce in Gladstone, then selflessly serving as a member of the City Council. And from myself and from the other council members, we wish for you and Laura and your family health and happiness.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. Some of my comments have already been scooped up. Tom, when you were elected to the council, I really didn't know you other than seeing your capable leadership as chairman of the chamber, and undoubtedly all of your service with Blues Fest, one of Gladstone's favorite events, and through heat and rain and mud and countless other obstacles that we don't even know about, you've helped steer Blues Fest to the great success it enjoys today, so you can always take that with you. And as a successful business owner for many years in this community, you've certainly made memories for generations of skaters in the Northland. By no real design, you and I have sat next to each other during the majority of your time on the council. In fact, it feels funny when we made the shift and I'm over here. So just prior to any comments that you might make that I need to deflect right now, that you may make about my kicking you underneath the dais, well, if I did, I hope it didn't hurt too much. We've had the opportunity to visit one-on-one on a number of issues before this body, some where we might not have totally agreed on a position. But I've always respected and admired your point of view and have been very impressed by your thoughtful, careful way that you arrive at solutions and decisions. You've always, always, always had the best interests of this city in mind throughout all of our deliberations, and your decisions have always been fair and well-reasoned. I've truly enjoyed getting to know you and having the ability to call you my colleague and my friend. This new adventure has been a long-time dream for you and your family. We will miss you being part of this Gladstone family, but I know you'll find happiness and fulfillment as you turn the page to a new chapter in your lives. I wish you and Laura and Leah all the very best. We will miss you very much. Godspeed in your journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, I'm not sure who you're all talking about. I know Mondays are long and you want to leave, but too bad. This is my last time. First, I need to issue some apologies. I'd like to apologize to the residents of Gladstone, the leadership team, and most importantly, my colleagues on the council for not completing my term. I had every intention of doing so, but as I say, life happens. Everything fell into place much earlier than we were expecting to accommodate and accelerate our move out of the state. I'm sorry that my decision has placed the burden on the council to deal with a vacant seat. However, you'll manage. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Now to some thank yous. First and foremost, the most important is to my wife, Laura. None of this was possible without her. Neither of us have been through this type of thing before. We knew nothing about the Missouri Ethics Commission, campaign finance laws, all the fine print. I still don't. But she dug in, figured it out, and mostly kept us on the straight and narrow. I'd also like to thank former City Council member and Mayor Carol Rudy for encouraging me to run and for the mentorship and guidance along the way. City Manager Scott Wingerson, thanks for the guidance and conversations. And my old friend, Assistant City Manager Bob Bear. The same friend who's sitting on a deck somewhere in the middle of Mississippi with a bourbon in one hand and a cigar in the other instead of sitting here listening to me drivel on. Thanks for the venting sessions, Bob. The city leadership team for putting up with me. The dumb questions and just for dropping in on you. I never knew how to schedule a meeting or see if you had time. I just showed up. And most of the time you're accommodating, except Alan. He just slammed the door. Just kidding. Thank you to former City Clerk Ruth, current Clerk Chris, and Becky. You guys, thanks for the reminders and kind of trying to keep me on the path. That really helped. I'm not very good at scheduling. A special thank you to my colleagues on the council. It was a pleasure to serve with you all. Thank you for the guidance and support. It was a pleasure engaging in respectful dialogue and conversation with you and trying to decide what's best for Gladstone. I learned a lot and hopefully provided some valuable input and different perspectives. A special thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Gene Moore. When this council was first seated, I'm sure the three of the incumbents drew straws in the back room, and she drew the short straw. She was seated next to me. Lucky her. Gene is a consummate professional and great mentor. I could call her or text her any time and she would respond. We had great conversations and she would provide insight and historical perspective to questions I had. She would also kick me under the table when I was about to say something I probably shouldn't. So thank you. And no, it didn't hurt. When I started this venture, I knew the public safety concept was outdated and functioning in name only, and only at the top levels of the department. I also knew that talk of breaking the departments into separate entities had been simmering beneath the surface for some time. I surmised that a little fuel to those embers just might ignite the flame. So me being me, I brought the gas can. It's okay. I'm pleased to see the progress so far and having played a small part. Chief Ferris and Chief Doherty, you have the pay structure in place and the facilities coming online. I expect to see improvement on the already excellent service your departments provide the citizens of Gladstone. Speaking of pay and benefits, I'm extremely proud of the leadership team for their forward-thinking, vision, and ability to put together a compensation plan for the entirety of the city workforce. I'm happy to have been able to play a small part and get this approved. Gladstone is on a leading edge for this entire metro area, and we are already seeing the fruits of that labor. However, it is human nature to equate more compensation to better service. So each employee has a greater expectation placed on them. I have no doubt that everyone will rise to the occasion and provide even greater service to the citizens of Gladstone. Someone once told me, maybe I read it somewhere, probably on a bathroom wall, can't remember which, but that perfection is impossible, but if we keep chasing it, we can catch excellence. So keep chasing. Don't worry, only 5 more type pages. In closing, I would encourage anyone thinking about getting involved in the civic affairs of our city to do it. The old saying applies, if I can do it, anyone can. You don't have to be a lawyer, a banker, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. You just have to have a little common sense and the ability to engage in civil discourse. The most important attribute to serve our great little city is, to borrow a sports adage, to play for the name on the front of the jersey and not on the back. Thank you. We'll miss all of you, except Bob. God bless and thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any other business for the City Council this evening? Hearing none, we are adjourned.